Alright, back in 1987, Capcom dropped a bombshell of an arcade cabinet. It was a game that paved the way for the one-on-one fighting genre. This game has had countless sequels and is widely regarded as one of the greatest fighting games of all time. Of course, this game is 1991's Street Fighter II. Like clockwork, every year back in the 90s, this game would get a remaster and, of course, ported over to home consoles. By 1994, it's estimated that it made over $10 million in the United States alone. Well, this of course begs the question, how did this happen? What made Street Fighter II so much better than its predecessor? Well, to do this, we'll have to go back to the past. Let's do this! Now, the original Street Fighter was released by Capcom in 1987. It was designed by Takashi Nishiyama and Hiroshi Matsumoto. The two would later join SNK to develop the Art of Fighting and the Fatal Fury series, but that's besides the point. Anyways, the two created a game about a martial artist who was competing in a national tournament against 10 other fighters and 5 other countries. This martial artist is of course the iconic Ryu, who for some reason has red hair in this game. However, this isn't the only playable character. Besides Ryu, there's his best friend and rival, Ken, whose design really hasn't changed all that much since this first game. While this game was heavily criticized by many because of it being too violent, it still did exceptionally well. It was ported to home computers like the MS-DOS, just like another one of Capcom's flagship characters during this time. The game sat in arcades 4 years, collecting quarters and generating buzz, which is crazy, because I know it must have been cutting edge for its time, but looking back at this now, it's super janky. Like, I couldn't imagine being a kid back then, putting quarter after quarter into this machine, just to get KO'd by some bullcrap. However, this wouldn't be the case for the game's sequel. Street Fighter II released in the arcades back in 1991. Mind you, this is the same year that another great sequel was released, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Now, this game is where the Street Fighter series really popped off. Any janky or bugginess was gone. The game's controls felt fluid and responsive, and the game's audio was near perfection. With 8 playable characters and 12 stages, the game's variety was unmatched. Everything about this game was miles beyond Street Fighter 1. All the characters felt fleshed out, with their own iconic moves, and with the new grappling mechanic, it's hard to ever go back to the 1987 Street Fighter. I keep saying it, but this game was absolutely mental. It set a new bar for arcade games in general. It was literally in a league all its own. So, for the next 3 years, Capcom would continue to tweak and rework the game just enough to keep people coming back and spending more quarters. Eventually, they'd add new skins, more playable characters, and eventually, with Super Street Fighter II Turbo, they'd add 2 very iconic mechanics, air combos and special combos. Now, air combos are pretty self-explanatory, but special combos are unique in a sense that they're like regular combos, but with stronger hits and mixed in with new moves. This would be the final remaster that Street Fighter II would get in the 90s. Mind you, this is after Street Fighter II, Turbo Hyper Fighting, Super Street Fighter II, the new challengers, and of course the already mentioned Super Street Fighter II Turbo. Sort of a Street Fighter II mouthful, don't you think? Regardless, this is where many thought the Street Fighter II legacy would end. Mainly because 1994 Capcom would start to focus more on their Street Fighter Alpha and Street Fighter the Movie the Game series, respectively. But dear viewer, this is not the end. In March of 2000, Sony released the PlayStation 2, at least in Japan. The console was a worldwide success. The console blew its competition out of the water and sold a total of 160 million units. God, reading this now, it's crazy to think that this and the Nintendo DS are the best-selling consoles of all time. The console would be home to more than 4,000 game titles, and one of these titles was Hyper Street Fighter II, the Anniversary Edition. This was the 15th anniversary of the Street Fighter series. This was an absolutely fantastic celebration of the series. While I'm usually not a fan of remasters, this blew up. And it was brought to the Xbox in October of 2004. Fans went crazy. And for the next few years, it would continue to build up sales until it reached an all-time high of 53,000. Eventually, 2017 would roll around and Street Fighter II would get its final remaster. At least, as of recording this. Okay, this is gonna be a long one. Ultra Street Fighter 2, Ultra Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers. God, it just kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? For my own sake, I'm just going to call this game USF. So USF was released to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Street Fighter series. The game has two styles, the classic arcade pixel art and the more high-quality art style. Along with this, there were additional nerfs and buffs to certain characters to make the game feel a lot more balanced. While this wasn't the most exceptional game of the series, it was still pretty good all around. But as of now, there's no real reason to buy this game. It's $40 on Amazon, but for that price, you could buy 2 copies of the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, which already has practically every version of Street Fighter 2 you would want. So, if you want my advice, just buy the collection. So, with that, we find ourselves at the end of the video once again. This one took me a while to research, but it has to be one of my favorite videos so far. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this type of content, then you better subscribe. I'm a small channel trying to grow, and any support would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.